Hello everyone, welcome to this last session on W.B.Yeats' poem The Second Coming. Students, in the previous three sessions we had introduction of W.B.Yeats as a poet, distinctive features of his poetry, and also about the theme and the basic background information about the writing of this remarkable lyric, The Second Coming. And in the session 2 and 3 we had line by line analysis of this poem, and today my special focus will be on the style and structure of this powerful poetic comment on modern world or the modern civilization. So let's begin. Students, in terms of structure, this poem is a perfect lyric as it revolves around one single thought, that is about the chaos and destruction and disorder in modern civilization. And the poet has just expressed this very idea very spontaneously. So in terms of spontaneity and brevity, it is a perfect lyric. Now the next important thing is the structure, that how this lyric is patterned. This lyric is divided into two stanzas and it consists of 22 lines. But if we talk about in terms of musicality or any particular specific rhythmic structure, the poem is not structured according to any formal tradition. I mean to say that there is no formal rhyming scheme is followed. Odd rhythm, odd rhyme is there in the poem. The next important thing about a poem is the setting and the context. So as in our previous videos, we had a very detailed discussion that this poem is just set in the post-war modern world, where the poet is talking about the violence and fanaticism which just spread all over the world with the First World War. And the next important thing is the context. So the poem is written in the context of Yeats' concept of history, which he has given his prose writing vision, that how the history evolves in a cyclic process. And here in this poem, he is talking about the end of one cycle and the beginning of another cycle. The third important thing is that the speaker is the poet himself. And fourthly, if we talk about the tone of the poem, here I would like to give some details, students. In terms of a poem, tone is the outlook that a poet wants to convey to the readers. And in poetry, we can say tone is the feeling a poet projects through the word choice, the imagery, and the subject. So as far as the overall tone of this poem is concerned, it is prophetic. It is that of a visionary, because the poet just gives the description of one scene and then talks about a poetic vision, the appearance of an image. And secondly, no doubt, the tone of horror or terror is also there, because that revelation or that vision is not just full of any positivity. And another important thing which comes into our mind after talking about the structure or tone of the poem, that the tone of the poem, if a poet wants to keep his tone to be that of a visionary, that of something terrifying or something positive or something negative, it all depends on the effective use of imagery. So before talking about imagery, let's understand what imagery is. Students, imagery is the vivid and vibrant form of description that appeals to the reader's senses, or in simple words we can say that imagery is the picturesque description, the word pictures, which just add to the poetic beauty. And in this poem, in the very opening line, there is a very vivid and lively image of the widening gyre, and then the circling falconer is there in the second line. And another image is that of the blood-dimmed tide, and the drawing of the ceremony of innocence is there. And in the last section of the poem, the poet is talking about the rough beast and how vividly he has given a very lively description, I should say, that the rough beast is slouching towards the Bethlehem. So this word slouching itself just adds liveliness to this image of rough beast. Students, one another remarkable poetic device that has been extensively used by W.B. Yeats is symbols. Students, his poetry is replete with symbols, and he has been regarded as one of the greatest symbolists in English literature. As far as this poem, The Second Coming is concerned, he has also used many symbols. In the very first line, there is the widening gyre. Literally, gyre is the word used for a spiral motion, but here he is using it as a symbol with reference to his theory of history, that gyre, the widening gyre, is just symbolizing one cycle of history, or one cycle of the evolution of civilization. And secondly, there is a reference to blood-dimmed tide. The blood-dimmed tide is used as a symbol for the fanaticism, the violence, or the destruction, or the destructive forces which just spread all over the world after the First World War, and which has just destroyed all nobility, goodness, and innocence. Then in the second line also, he has used the very effective symbols, the falcon and the falconer. And students, falcon is used as the symbol of mankind, humanity, and he is talking about a lost falcon. So this is an indication of the humanity which has lost its connection with any controlling authority, which has lost its power of reason, which has lost any noble cause to live for. And then there is the falconer. Falconer is the symbol of divinity, morality, or Christianity, or the good, noble, controlling authority, we can say. Then thirdly, there is the use of a symbol of the desert birds. The desert birds, they are the symbol of approaching death. Then Sphinx is there, and the Sphinx is there for the prophecy that some change is going to take place, because in Greek mythology the appearance of the Sphinx is related with prophecies. So in this way, W.B. Yeats has very effectively used the symbols to signify his ideas, and he has given very effective or deeper symbolic meanings to these very terms, just very different from their literal meanings. And the next important poetic device is that of the choice of words, because words play a very active role or important role in making a piece of writing appealing or effective, or we can say these are the words which makes the tone of the poet quite appealing to the readers, and this is the use of words which just add liveliness to the images. So as if we look carefully at the choice of words in this poem, we find that there is the use of assonance. Students, assonance is the repetition of same vowel sounds in a same line, such as in the very opening line, the E sound, turning and turning in the widening gyre. And then there is a sound in the ceremony of innocence is drawn. So the use of assonance, the repetition of same vowel sounds is also enhancing the poetic appeal of this poem. Then the same is there with the use of consonants also in this poem. Students, consonance is the repetition of the consonant sounds in the same line, such as in the phrase, we were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. In this line, the repetition of the sound R enhances the poetic beauty. Then one more important device is that of diacope. Diacope is the repetitive use of words to emphasize a particular point of view. So this diacope is appearing there in the very opening part of the poem, where he has repeated the use of the word turning, turning. Then another device related with the use of words is polyptone. Polyptone is actually repetitive use of a word with the same root. For example, the falcon is used there, and with that same root falcon, the falconer is used. So in the use of falcon and falconer, there we can say polyptone is there. And as far as other literary devices in this poem are concerned, W.B.Yeats has made an effective use of the metaphors, as we have discussed in the use of symbols also. And along with those very symbols, there is a reference to a rocking cradle, which metaphorize some second coming, some new beginning is there with that symbol of the rocking cradle in the poem. Then there is intertextuality is there. Intertextuality means there are references to other texts, and in this poem the poet has referred to Bible also, because he's talking about the birth of Christ. He's talking about Bethlehem. So the reference to Bible or the biblical allusions is the intertextuality in this poem. Then as a figure of speech, the poet has used hyperbole also, where he has repetitively talking about that surely second coming is at hand. Surely second coming is at hand. So this is hyperbolic expression. Then no doubt the poet has made an effective use of the myth of Sphinx in this poem. And we have discussed about Sphinx in detail during the line by line analysis of the poem also. And so students, this poem is one of the greatest examples in English poetry of how poetry can be packed with power. We can say that the second coming represents the triumph of technical skill, each word and each line contributing to the final effects. The words chosen are to a great extent the right ones to reveal or represent the emotion, which was their purpose, and the manipulation of vowel and consonant sounds is also very perfect. And the poem is strikingly single-minded and visionary, and achieves its best effects by cultivating a tone which is most at home in extremes of pitch. So to sum up, we can say, it is a style of triumph. Thank you.